God, why did you take Rob? And why at this time? What now? What about me and my kids? How could you do this to us?
There is no answer for the why question, and it's also the wrong question.
I demand to know. You are the all-knowing, and I need to know.
Which answer would suffice on the why? Because it was his time? Because he was sick? Because he deserved it? Because the guy was drunk? Which one do you prefer?
All of them.
Okay then, well, there you go. Are we done?
Okay, I get it. But who up there has the real answer then?
You want to know why the universe or the divine creator decided that that day, at that hour, on that road was the time for him to die. This question is not answerable because you don't have the big picture. You don't understand the various connections and interconnections of the universe. You would need a better understanding of cause and effect on a cosmic scale in order to understand. I needed Rob to die on that particular road, at that particular time, because that was when the deer was going to pass by that would make him swerve and crash into that ditch. Because of his car crashed into the ditch, the road was open. Behind Rob, a few miles behind, there was a red Toyota that would have crashed into Rob if he did not swerve into the ditch. And in that car sat a 4-year-old little girl that is extremely important to me. Because that little girl is going to slap Johnny across the face on Monday, and make Johnny run to his mom crying in front of the whole school, which will teach Johnny to stop his bullying, which will prevent Jennifer from taking her own life 2 years later. But mostly, it's because Johnny has cancer, and that slap that little girl gives him will leave a strange imprint on his skin which his mother will notice. She will then take him to the doctor, a nice gentleman, recently divorced, who was planning to kill himself that day, will confirm that Johnny has stage 3 cancer. But because of the timing, they are able to save Johnny. Johnny's mother would fall in love with the doctor, actually saving him that day from suicide, and they will eventually marry and have a baby called Susan, who will become one of the most prolific human rights lawyers this planet has ever seen. She will literally save thousands of people, one of them being Kevin, who lives in Kenya. And Kevin, another very important fellow, is so inspired by Susan that he takes up the cause and starts a revolution in Tanzania, and that country will be set free. Should I go on?
So, you killed my Rob so you could free Tanzania?
Well, if you put it like that. His death did have meaning at least, right?
No, not at all. What the fuck about me and his kids? Who gives a shit about some fucking guy in Tanzania?
Well, my dear, I do.
Why Rob? Why not another car, or another traveler, or another road with another person?
You want someone else to die instead?
Yes.
Okay, well, the other suitable candidate was a Down syndrome child, 6 years of age, who lives down the road from that road. I suppose I could make a plan.
What? No, don't do that. Are you mad?
No, I'm just honoring your request to replace your husband's death with that of a child with Down syndrome.
How can you be so cruel?
You are not getting it, my child. It is not about the person who dies, it is about the death and the consequences of that loss that are far more important than the actual person. What you don't seem to understand, and I don't know when you kids will listen when I speak, is this: the impact you have on this world is not through your physical presence, but rather through your intentions, your actions, and your words. It is the thing that you do that makes the world spin. I am in those moments. I don't control you, the human body with the brain and the spine. I control the aftermath, the consequences of your death, because that is where the biggest impact is made. Yes, you were close and you loved each other, and you also will now change and do strange things that I have to keep an eye out for. But I have to manage the entire assembly line of all the events that flow from that event. And this is where I do my best work. Because I can see all the lines, I can see when one goes out of alignment. And then I can influence and interfere to protect the entire universe and all of humanity. If I just allowed you to roam free, and be, and live, and do as you do without controlling the alignment, then it would truly be chaos in, say, 12.5 minutes. That's the average time it takes you lot to create the most insane amount of chaos in the universe for it to ripple throughout the cosmos at a grand scale. Trust me, I'm not doing that Big Bang thing again. That was surprising. Let me try explaining it using a living being. The gift that keeps giving. Let's say, you go to work and meet Annie, whom you like. She's pleasant and you find her agreeable to work with. You ask Annie how she is and she says, fine. All your filters and senses agree, and you immediately confirm she is fine and you walk to your desk. What you missed was that Annie is secretly in love with you, actually obsessed with you, and she brought a knife to work today because she plans on kidnapping you later today. Now, this event can have several outcomes. It all depends on the circumstances, the environment, and your reaction to the kidnapping, all of which are variables that I can foresee. Now, I'm not ever surprised, but I can see that the way you react in that moment, in the long run, is going to ruin your husband and bankrupt you and the entire family. Your kids will be crack addicts and your husband will work for the cartel while he whores you out as a pimp. I can see it in your timeline. So, I can't interfere because I gave you choice. And I pray and hope that perhaps, just perhaps, I can play a bigger role in your life to nudge you away from that future. That is all I can do. And I do this all day, every day, with every human being and baby alive. I can see that this future, down the line, has many consequences on a lot of people. So every day, I have to accurately calculate your heart, your intentions, and your impact on the world, to assess whether you are capable of changing the horrific timeline into one that I want. And some of you are stubborn as hell and I can't do anything, but some of you take to it like a fish in water, and that is when you see them on YouTube professing miracles when all the while it was just little old me adjusting people's hearts and changing their minds. I want you to have the best experience possible. Now, I know you are mad with me for not adjusting Rob's timeline. But here is the thing. If I didn't allow Rob to have that accident on that road at that time of night, and he survived, then, number 1, Mary would be dead and no more Tanzania for me. Number 2, Rob would have suffered some horrific times himself, too. In his future was tuberculosis, which would prevent him from keeping a job, which would cause you to lose the house, and your kids would take to crack and become crackheads, and you both would lose Johnny at the age of 18 to an overdose. So when I weighed up that future with the potential one you were on, I took Rob with a smile. Any more questions on the why?
No, but you did know Rob was an atheist, right?
Indeed he was, my dear. Without ever knowing the truth. Well, until now. You should have seen Rob's face when he saw me. Being an atheist and all. It's always so funny when they show up. We actually know the date and time, so the angels and I come together at the gates just to have a laugh. It's very entertaining. Do you know what really hurts me about my children the most?
Everything?
What really hurts me is that every single human being wants me to do for them, and be for them, and love them. But nobody wants me to love, and be, and do for all of them. When you surely understand that they all belong to me, right? I'm a father of 8.56 billion of you as of right now. So, when you experience the death of a loved one, you always ask, why them? But what you're really asking is, why me? Isn't it? If you think about it, you should be so happy that your partner is home with me, right? So happy he is out of pain, out of that cruel planet you call home. No more taxes, no more burdens, no more stress, no more shouting, no more disappointment. And you do understand that heaven and being here with me means none of that, except happy bliss, right?
Damn sure I am.
I know. So, let me play it back to you. If I said to you, Rob, who is your husband, I can take him right now and give him all the happiness his heart has ever desired. He won't feel anything but bliss all of the time. He won the lottery to heaven. But, I am not going to take him until you give me permission to take him.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Before you go off, let me finish. You are now going to say to me, but they also don't experience love and happiness and ice cream and all the great things about this life that makes it so wonderful, right?
Damn sure I am.
I know. So, let me play it back to you. If I said to you, Rob, who is your husband, I can take him right now and give him all the happiness his heart has ever desired. He won't feel anything but bliss all of the time. He won the lottery to heaven. But, I am not going to take him until you give me permission to take him.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, so, in the meantime, knowing that Rob can go to heaven right now, you would prefer it if he stays a little longer, experiencing the pain of life and the joy of life.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So now Rob prays to me and says, hey God, I really don't want to do this anymore. And I tell him that the decision for him to come to me and have bliss, unfortunately, has been delayed by your decision to extend it.
No, you can't do that. That's not fair.
I can't. You know I can't lie. But let's explore that reaction. Why wouldn't you want Rob to know that you love him so much that you decided you can't let him go, and that he must suffer a little bit more, and enjoy life a little bit more, before he can get eternal bliss? Why is that a problem?
Because he would hate me. He would ask me why I kept him around, knowing all the problems and issues and knowing he could have been released from it. But I still chose to keep him around in whatever hell he is in.
And that is a problem. Because?
Because then he would be mad at me and stop loving me and see me as the thing that is keeping him tied to the here and now.
I love it when you guys say, here and now. It never gets old. Okay, so not a good thing then. So then why would you do it knowing he would be mad and sad and not love you anymore? Are you narcissistic, psychotic, flamboyant, selfish, borderline sociopath? Do you have any of these mental disorders your kind have invented to explain away pain and lack of love?
No, I'm perfectly normal and fine. Thank you very much.
Well then, I'm so confused. Help me understand.
I don't know. Leave me alone.
I can't leave you, and I can't leave you on your own. I'm God. I'm everywhere, all the time, so I'm afraid you're stuck with me.
I just want this pain to go away.
What pain?
The pain of him dying, of not being around, of not being there to see our kids grow up, for not being there to sort out the house and the banks and the cars, and for leaving me on my own to do everything by myself. For not waiting, for not being more prepared, for not preparing us for just leaving.
So, you don't miss the person, you miss everything they did?
No, of course I love the person.
Sorry dear. You see, I'm a creature of words with meaning, and I go according to what you're uttering, as I place quite a high value on them. So I'm reading your words and they said, and forgive me, but I quote, the pain of him dying, of not being around, of not being there to see our kids grow up, for not being there to sort out the house and the banks and the cars, and for leaving me on my own to do everything by myself. For not waiting, for not being more prepared, for not preparing us, for just leaving.
Yeah, and?
Well, let's deconstruct word for word. My favorite game. Oops, hang on a second, just have to defuse a nuclear bomb Putin is playing with again. There we go. Total alienation averted. Where were we? Get it? Isn't it funny?
No, what's funny is that you said where were we?
Oh, I see you have not lost your sense of humor I gave to you when you were 3. Okay, here we go. The pain of him dying. What is this pain of dying? Does death have a pain that it dishes out to everyone that lives when it's done dying?
No.
So, what are you actually saying? Whose pain are we talking about here? Because Rob is not feeling much of anything bodily-wise these days. He's off playing golf with Michael this afternoon.
Golf.
Oh yes, the angels love it. Makes them practice their sword swing for, you know who?
What are you talking about?
Sorry, I digress a lot. Lots of things happening at the same time for me. So, tell me, what is this pain? Where does it live, and who owns it, and who causes it?
Okay, fine. It's my pain, okay? I feel pain because he's gone. He doesn't cause it, he just died. He didn't do anything. But because he is gone, that loss feels like pain to me. I experience it as pain because I miss him. I miss our times together. I just miss him so damn much. I don't want to be alone.
So we have established that you, in your mind, have convinced yourself that when a person dies and leaves this material world, you will choose a feeling that hurts because the consequence of their death leaves a perceived hole where they previously were. And because you chose to have this feeling, you suffer. And because you don't know what to do with that pain, you tend to transfer it to the person who did nothing more than die.
Yes, I do.
How is it working so far?
What do you mean? If you don't feel pain, then you're a complete psychopath. Surely it's not against the rules to miss someone or mourn someone or cry about them being gone. They were your best friend. They were your everything and now they're gone and it hurts. It has to hurt.
Why must it hurt?
Because if it doesn't, then you didn't love them much, did you?
I'm unfamiliar with this technique of self-preservation. Please explain a little bit more.
It's simple. You meet someone, you fall in love, you build a life, you share, you cry, you laugh, you support, and you become their soulmate. And when they die, you feel sad and broken and lost without them.
It's the habit thing you guys do. Because they always did this thing and now they don't, you have to replace the habit now because...
It's not a habit thing.
It's not?
No, it's so much more. I don't love him because it's a habit, he is not a habit. He's infused into my soul. We are one like you commanded.
Let me see if I understand this. So, you meet someone, and your heart and stomach flutter because of attraction. Then you get to know one another and you become familiar with each other, thoughts, dreams, aspirations. And when you find common ground, you feel that you could potentially build a life together. Gain from the other person, right? Gain wealth, prestige, status, or just plain old good friendship and everlasting love. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. I like you, I am willing to spend my time with you. Then it grows into, you are important to me.
Why important? Because.
Because.
Yes, because. Listen, they are important because without them your life would be, shit. How did you do that?
Do what?
Twist my words. People are important in your life because you can't, they need to. Oh gosh.
What happened? Do I have a spider on my ear again?
No, you just made me realize that we value or make people important to us ourselves not because they're important, but because they fulfill a desire or need that me myself need satisfying.
It's only important if I get my fix out of it. Well, yes, but I can tell you that Rob was very important to your two girls.
Yes, but that's different. They don't want important, they expect important.
You're right. I made them that way, especially girls. They will always have a need for a father to be important, because it's the truest importance there is. You see, you become important to someone only because of their perceptions and needs of you. Not because you are important. It's just something you have decided to term that way. But there are plenty of people living on an island, not speaking a lick of anything, killing pigs and living off the land, and making lots of babies that nobody cares about or even thinks about because they are not important. Like cockroaches. Nobody thinks they are important, right? The only people that think so are those that think so. So, if they are not important, and it's just me getting a need satisfied or a want satisfied, what are they then?
What do you think they are? I don't know. I mean, they have to mean something, right?
Mean something?
Well, we can't go around knowing that nobody is important and they mean nothing. What kind of world is that?
I suppose it depends on who holds the meaning and who bestowed the importance. Do you know anyone you can ask to help us with this?
Well, we can't go around knowing that nobody is important and they mean nothing. What kind of world is that?
No, not really, because everyone is going to answer the same thing. He's important because without him I can't fix my car, I can't enjoy life, or experience love.
Well, we can't go around knowing that nobody is important and they mean nothing. What kind of world is that?
Let's just review the words that you sang out of your mouth. You said, and I quote, "He's important because I am useless and I am incapable of doing a thing, and I need that thing doing, and he is available and capable to do the thing I need doing."
That is so not what I said.
I quote, and in quotes this time, you said dash, "He's important because without him I can't fix my car, I can't enjoy life or experience love."
Yeah, okay. I can see where you're getting stuck. You see, God, the thing is, I can't really love myself. I need to be loved. That was your thing. So you deal with that little blunder. So, I need another person to give it to me. I can't magically create love for myself, and kiss myself, and hold myself at night, can I?
I see. So you need this other person to do these things for you. Out of their own accord, or by your demand, or just when they feel like it. And tell me, how do you measure that it's enough, or of good enough quality, or in the right amounts at the right time in order for you to be satisfied? Because, and this is just me, before I commit to giving you the love you seek, I would really like to be clear on the quantities in question.
Why just give it all?
Oh, now you see, this is where it gets tricky. Because love, I created her a very long time ago. The most complicated creature in the universe, I tell you. I think I might have even got a bit of the formula wrong, if I'm honest. But she is undeniably the most fickle and all-consuming creature my hands have ever had the pleasure of creating. You see, she doesn't quite understand quantity or measurements. She only operates on feeling and what feels right. And that changes 1 nanosecond at a time. It's literally impossible for her to be complete or fully satisfied. Poor thing.
Are you really God? I feel that. Can I speak to your manager, please?
Oh, you're so funny. Now listen here, child. Love doesn't work that way. You take what you get and you give what you give. And hopefully, the two beings that play this little game with her will come out of it feeling okay.
Just okay.
Yes, what's wrong with okay?
I don't want okay. I want the best, all-consuming, crazy, fatal attraction. You are my world, love. Because I deserve it, damn it. I'm a good catch and a good person, and I work hard for the other person. Always making them food. Always tidying up after them. Always listening to them. Caring for them, looking after them. Don't I get to bake in the oven of their love?
What did you say?
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why, but I just want to sound poetic around you for some reason. Say some wise things to impress you.
Okay then. Let me get it for you and I will be right back.
What do you mean, get it?
Well, you said all of it and that's a lot of buckets.
No, from your heart.
But how will you know I've given you all of it then, if you can't see it in buckets?
I don't care about the amount, just that you do love me.
I see. How do I know that I'm doing it? Or how do you know that I'm loving you?
It's by the way you treat me. Treat our children, look at me, respect me. You know, small things like little love letters in your love box, or coffee in the morning, or a rose on a pillow every day. Or making me feel special on my birthday and going out of your way. Just making me feel like I'm important to you. That you value me and see me as a person for who I am and love me regardless of my faults and are willing to put up with me.
I see. How do I know that I'm doing it? Or how do you know that I'm loving you?
Yes, of course. A-E-I-O-U.
What are they?
They are all action words. The do words. They do stuff.
Do you know why I called it vows on your wedding day instead of vowels?
No. Why?
Vows are about being, and vowels are about doing. So, this is what I'm hearing you say. You are saying that love is known or present when a human performs an action. This action indicates to you, the person the action is performed for, that it is love. How do you know the person doesn't love you anymore?
Easy. They stop doing all the things they used to do. They stop the coffee, they stop the cuddling. They wander off.
I can see for you it's still all about doing. Be careful and be aware of your vowels, dear. You keep referring to actions, and what I want to say to you right here and now, in all seriousness, is that I do not appreciate someone as beautiful and important as you, the being that I created and infused with so much love, and that to this day, here and now, I love with all my heart. I do not appreciate that you think or have so little regard for me, your creator, to think that I would create the most powerful force known in the cosmos and have it be a slave to the actions of humanity. You think so little of love, then you think so little of me, the creator of it. Do you think I created love and let it out into the world and said, okay, love, so you only exist if a human does something or doesn't do something, okay? What type of world do you think that would be? If love is only present when a human feels like making a cup of coffee, or a sandwich, or showing up for a game. It is not in your best interest to talk about love or say the things you are saying about love, especially when you know deep down inside that you are fooling yourself and trying to fool everyone else. Yes, there you go again. What would you say if I told you that I absolutely adore and love Hitler? In fact, he is one of my favorite sons. Owns a condo and everything up in here. I bestowed him with so much love and affection, my other children try not to show how mad it makes them. Okay, so I want you to go to Hitler right now and give him a hug. He's my favorite, and you know that I am a fair God, so if I love him, you should love him just the same. Who are you to not share the love, I mean my love, with one of your brothers?
I don't think. This is getting a bit weird.
Well, that means progress now, doesn't it? I want you to go and think about this. I don't give love. I don't bestow love. I don't take it from a starcrim and dish it out. It's already there in the world, within each and every one of you, infused in you at the time of your birth. But you lot seem to think it's your love, and you own it, and you possess it, and therefore you have the right to decide who gets it and who doesn't. My son died for all mankind, including Hitler, including the vile pedophiles and the rapists. He died for all of them. But you unrighteous, single-minded lot seem to think you own the copyright and the moratorium of who gets it and who does not. You always say, I love you. You don't have the ability to love, only love has the ability to love. You are just a conduit, a vessel that she decides to ride or not ride. It all depends on the vessel, and like I said, she is fickle. She cannot exist in a perfect being, and she can't exist in a completely dead person. But her favorite is those ones that are completely lacking. That's where she finds the most fun and what makes her happy. She is always hanging around those that need it the most. So you will always find that the people that never show it, the people that never do it as you say, are normally the people that have the most of her in them. She's tricky. And you also can't bottle it up and show me that you have it. You also can't catch her, capture her, kidnap her, hold her, keep her, or tie her down. And then you let go and call it tying the knot. What exactly are you tying? Your hands? Your feet? Love is not a chain. It can't be chained, tamed, imprisoned, forced, or known. That's the greatest part of her. You have her and you won't even know you have her until something happens and you feel something, and then she stirs in you, and you feel her inside of you. And for a second, you think it's all you who did that by yourself. You have love to thank for every kind word, every empathetic feeling, every good emotion, and every bad emotion, and every sadness, and every longing you have had in your life. That is what she uses in her pot. She stirs up jealousy, she adds a bit of loneliness, and then mixes in a bit of self-confidence, and then she marinates it in some sauce, and there you go, Elvis exists. Breaking and tearing hearts all over the world because she spilled that brew. She got too excited about the prospect of having each and every woman feel and see love where there was none. She turned that ability up, and look what happened.
What happened?
Well, I suppose nothing really. Just a few broken hearts, but they eventually grew up and became sane again.
Are you saying that love is this force that either does or does not choose to inhabit you, and that does not come from you? It's just love taking complete control and doing whatever it wants, and there's nothing you can do about it? You can't prevent it, or attract it, or elicit it. Are we just vessels, like slaves doing whatever she feels like?
Finally, a good question. No. Love, like all things I create, has a failsafe. Something they are dependent on to operate, cause and effect, you know. Love cannot make you or force you to feel anything or do anything. It needs a secret ingredient, and without it, it is useless.
What?
What do you think? What's the first word that popped into your mind?
Lollipops.
Interesting. No, seriously, what? It starts with a D.
D do I do?
No. That's on the other side, not here. Desire. If the person does not have the desire, it cannot override the person's will. No desire, no fire, like I say. It's that simple. Yes, like everything with my signature on it. I cannot force you to love Hitler. I can't ask you to marry Hitler. I can't tell you to desire him like you desired your husband and make babies with him. And I am God. Almighty. I am. And I cannot do that. I cannot force you to love my son, believe in him, be in fellowship with him, or not crucify him, can I? Your desire is what drives everything. Desire to consume, desire to protect, desire. And it's the one thing that remains yours. It's the one emotion that cannot be manipulated, stolen, enhanced, bewitched, or extracted. It's my failsafe. When I gave you choice, I gave you desire to decide. Desire, decide. See how that works? They both have an A in them. A man with a head. That's they in all you speak.
Wow. So it's not love that fades. It's the fuel, desire that fades. And desire is based on the likes and dislikes and fancy of the person at the time, in that moment. If they don't desire to touch, they don't touch. It's not because they don't have love, they just don't have the desire to show you love through touch at that moment. But love is always there. It's just expressed at different frequencies and intensities during the day, the week, the month, depending on the type of experience that person is having at that moment on that day. It doesn't mean they are out of love, because love doesn't have a measure, so they can't be out of it.
Yup. Yes. Let's go with that for now.
What do you mean? I just had this most amazing light bulb moment and you're not seriously impressed?
Now, I want you to go out there and love every single person you meet today, because that is what you expect of me, isn't it? You would not love a god that doesn't love the chipmunks but favors the orangutans, would you? Sarah, no, you wouldn't. God. Good. Now, off you go. Show love to every single person you meet until it doesn't feel like showing anymore and just becomes being. Because that is love. She just is. She just does. She is a state of constant being. The loss of her is a constant state of loss. And that is what you think you have lost. Not the person, not your husband. You have somehow convinced yourself that because he is gone, his love is gone, too. But I tell you, Missy, I saw him this morning and he still loves you and your daughters, And nothing will ever change that because it does not depend on whether you're good or bad, or whether you make him coffee this morning. God help us all if that ever happened. Just get on with it. See you on Tuesday. 3 a.m. Don't be late.
Okay. Love you.
Love you too. Happy now? Sarah?
Yeah.
You and the kids are going to be okay. Wanna know how I know?
You need to work on those punchlines. Seriously.
Because I'm God. It still gets me every time.
Imagine you are 3 months into the worst grief of your life.
Right, like the absolute worst.
Yeah, the initial shock has completely worn off. The house is just, dead quiet.
Which is its own kind of torture. Right?
Exactly. And you finally break down, you look up at the ceiling, and you just ask God why your husband had to die.
At a completely universal human moment.
Right. And God looks back at you and says, would you prefer I killed a 6-year-old down the street instead?
I mean, it is just a profound shock to the system.
It really is.
It is like the absolute last thing you would ever expect to hear in a moment of total vulnerability.
Totally. So today, we are looking at one of the most abrasive, combative, and brilliantly effective dialogues on grief we have ever read.
Welcome to the deep dive, everyone.
We are opening up a transcript simply titled Conversation with God.txt.
Such an unassuming title for something so intense.
Right. Now, right out of the gate, we need to, set the parameters for what we're doing today.
Yeah, we have to be clear about our mission here.
We are not doing a theology deep dive. We are not, extracting spiritual life lessons.
We've done those before, but this is different.
Exactly. Today is entirely a literary and psychological teardown.
Yes, we are putting the conversational aspects of this text under a microscope.
We are taking the rhetorical choices, the pacing, the debate tactics of this specific text and really dissecting them.
Because the architecture of this dialogue is entirely deliberate. It's fascinating.
It takes the universal expectations of how we talk to grieving people, and it just violently upends them.
It really is a masterclass in, conversational disruption.
So when we usually talk about processing a profound loss, there's this cultural script we all unconsciously follow.
Oh, totally. We all know the script.
You picture a quiet room, a box of tissues on a coffee table,
Exactly.
and whoever is speaking to the grieving person is using a very specific tone of voice. Soft, gentle, almost fragile.
Yeah, it's what I call the sanctuary approach.
The sanctuary approach. I like that.
Right, because you handle the bereaved like they are made of spun glass. The environment is heavily padded.
To prevent any further emotional bruising, basically.
Exactly. We
Yeah.
whisper, we offer these, soft platitudes, we validate their pain without ever really challenging the cognitive loops that pain creates.
Right, padded. But when you start reading this transcript, that padded room is just...
It's
little.
completely gone. You are suddenly standing in a sparring ring.
Yeah. So here's the setup for you listening. We have a dialogue between a grieving widow named Sarah,
Right.
and she is confronting God about the sudden death of her husband, Rob.
But instead of a somber, weeping exchange, it reads like a rapid-fire, sarcastic debate.
It's wild. So we are going to explore why the tone is shockingly funny. Would you expect it to be, heavy?
We're going to look at how Sarah relentlessly challenges her creator, which is so interesting.
And ultimately, we're going to ask a very specific psychological question. Is this combative conversational style actually the perfect medicine?
Specifically for someone who is at a very specific point in their grief journey, right?
Exactly. So to you listening right now, I want you to recall the most frustrating, intellectually demanding, darkly comedic argument you have ever had.
Preferably with someone you love.
Right. Now, scale that argument up to a cosmic level.
Where the stakes involve literal life, death, and the underlying fabric of the universe.
That's the text we are unpacking today. So let's get into the overarching tone.
Because the writer shatters your expectations from the very first exchange.
Totally. Sarah asks the ultimate human question. She says, God, why did you take Rob? Why at this time? What about me and my kids?
The big why.
The big why. And God's immediate response is, don't pick the scab. Don't keep asking why.
It's just so blunt.
Let go of the why. There are no answers for it. That's what he says.
The bluntness is literally breathtaking. I mean, if you apply the standard cultural script we just talked about.
The padded room.
Right, the padded room. A serious traditional tone would immediately validate her despair. It would offer pity.
But the writer of this dialogue chooses a dry, almost exasperated tone for the creator.
And there is a clinical brilliance to that choice, honestly.
Why do you think that is?
Well, pity, while well-intentioned, can sometimes trap a grieving person. It solidifies their position as a victim of circumstance.
Right, it kind of locks them in.
Exactly. Humor and bluntness, on the other hand, evoke a totally different neurological response. They evoke critical thinking.
Oh, wow. So you're forced out of the feeling and into the thinking.
Exactly. It immediately forces Sarah out of her emotional spiral and into a cognitive defensive posture.
She has to defend her stance.
Right. Which means she has to actually think about her stance instead of just feeling it.
I was trying to map this conversational tone onto something we experience in the real world.
Like a real-world equivalent.
Yeah. And the closest analogy I could find is a seasoned emergency room doctor dealing with a panicked patient.
Oh, that is a really good comparison.
Right. If you've ever been in a busy ER, the veteran doctors definitely have a bedside manner.
But it's totally different from a family doctor.
Exactly. It is completely stripped of sentimentality. And why? Because the doctor is operating on a macro level.
They are managing a whole system.
Right. A system of saving lives, triaging trauma, keeping the whole floor from collapsing.
While the patient, understandably, is hyper-focused on the pain of their own single localized injury.
Exactly. A needle prick or a broken arm feels like the end of the world to the patient.
But the doctor has to look at the big picture.
So God's conversational tone here mirrors that ER doctor.
Yeah.
It's not malicious.
No, not at all.
It's just this exasperated, pragmatic manager who has a trillion things on their desk.
That ER doctor analogy is highly useful because it really explains the mechanism of triage.
How so?
Well, in triage, you cannot indulge the panic, right? You have to assess the reality.
Right, you have to stabilize the situation.
Exactly. So when God responds to Sarah's demand for a why, he says which answer would suffice on the why.
Oh, right, the multiple choice part.
Yes. He says because it was his time, because he was sick, because he deserved it, because the guy was drunk. Which one do you prefer?
It's so wild. He is taking this sacred concept of seeking closure and turning it into this morbid, multiple choice menu.
He's highlighting the fundamental absurdity of her question, really.
Yeah, he is trying to explain that even if he handed her the mechanical, logistical reason for the car crash.
It wouldn't fix her broken heart anyway.
Exactly. The mechanical answer doesn't solve the emotional deficit.
But Sarah doesn't back down.
No, she doesn't. She literally looks at that multiple choice menu and says, all of them.
She wants all the answers.
And God just goes, okay then. Well, there you go. Are we done?
It's wildly dismissive.
It is. But it forces her to realize that she's asking questions that have no satisfying answers.
It really makes you wonder about how we consume trauma as humans.
What do you mean?
Well, when the pain of a loss is just unimaginably vast.
Like so big you can't even perceive the edges of it.
Right. Maybe wrapping that conversation in absurdity or dry wit is the only way the human brain can actually digest it.
That makes a lot of sense. There is a lot of psychological literature on how humor creates necessary distance.
Oh, absolutely. When you are inside the blast radius of acute grief, you can't see the landscape.
Everything is just heat and pain.
Exactly. So the sarcasm in God's tone here acts as a distancing mechanism.
By being somewhat aloof, he gives Sarah something solid to push against.
Think about it. If God were weeping alongside her, she would just drown in that shared sorrow.
Yeah, she'd just sink into it.
But by being witty and dismissive, he actually makes her angry.
And anger is different from despair.
From a therapeutic standpoint, anger is an active, forward-moving emotion. It has momentum.
Despair is static, but anger is kinetic.
Perfectly said. And that momentum completely drives the narrative of this text.
Yeah, this isn't a sermon where the deity speaks and the human just, takes notes quietly.
Not at all.
This dry, witty tone invites a highly specific dynamic, one where the human doesn't just bow down in awe.
She actually comes out swinging.
You'd expect a grieving widow to be cowed by cosmic sarcasm.
But God's tone actually backfires.
Or maybe it works exactly as intended, right? Because Sarah gets furious.
Sarah's defiance is the engine of the entire text. She absolutely refuses to accept the non-answers.
She essentially demands to speak to the manager of the universe.
That's exactly what she does. She literally says at one point, "Excuse me, I demand to know."
And later, when God gives her an explanation she doesn't like, she straight up drops the F-bomb.
Right. She says, "What the fuck about me and his kids?"
I mean, this is not a typical Sunday school prayer.
It's not even close.
This is a visceral, ugly, honest human reaction.
It is entirely honest. And to understand why her pushback is so structurally vital to the script, we have to look at the explanation God tries to offer her.
Okay, let's get into that. Because God introduces a concept we might call the unified master script.
Right. He attempts to answer her relentless why by pulling back the curtain on the cosmic domino effect.
This part of the transcript is a wild ride.
It really is.
God explains that Rob's fatal accident wasn't just some isolated random tragedy. He claims he needed Rob to die on that specific road at that exact time.
So that his car would end up in a ditch.
Right. And why? Because this prevented a red Toyota from crashing into Rob in the rain.
And inside that Toyota was a 4-year-old girl.
Yes. And then God traces this absurdly detailed, sweeping lineage.
Like a movie script.
Exactly. He says that little girl survives, grows up, slaps a boy named Johnny.
That slap leads to a medical scan which reveals Johnny has cancer.
Johnny's mom meets a Dr. Roger at the hospital. They fall in love, get married, and have a baby named Susan.
Susan grows up to be a prolific human rights lawyer.
She eventually saves a guy named Kevin.
And Kevin goes on to start a revolution that frees the nation of Tanzania.
I mean, it is the ultimate expression of the butterfly effect.
Presented in this massive, overwhelming, run-on narrative.
God fully expects Sarah to be awed by this macro perspective.
Of course. It's the classic philosophical argument of the greater good.
The idea that individual localized suffering serves a massive, unseen universal benefit.
From the perspective of the cosmos, saving an entire nation, Tanzania mathematically justifies the localized tragedy of Rob's death.
So God presents this grand story and says his death did have meaning at least, right?
And in any traditional historical or religious text, this is the moment the human drops to their knees.
Right, they bow their head and say, "Ah, I see your infinite wisdom, Lord, forgive my ignorance."
But Sarah doesn't do that at all.
No. Her conversational pivot here is brilliant. It is so deeply, frustratingly human.
What does she say?
She looks at this magnificent, multi-generational cosmic tapestry, and she says, "So, you killed my Rob so you could free Tanzania."
And then the kicker.
Yeah, she says, "Who gives a shit about some fucking guy in Tanzania?"
That is arguably the most crucial line in the first half of the text.
It totally grounds all that abstract cosmic logic right back into visceral human reality.
Because God is speaking in eons. He is speaking in billions of lives in the rise and fall of nations.
And Sarah is speaking in empty beds.
Exactly. She is speaking in unpaid bills and immediate localized trauma.
Her total refusal to accept the macro justification is what makes this text so emotionally resonant.
It is. But I have to say, I have to push back a little on God's conversational strategy here.
Oh, how so?
Looking at this structurally, God's explanation feels almost cruel. It's too algorithmic.
Oh, I see what you mean. He literally calls the universe an assembly line of events.
Right. He mentions that it takes humans about 12.5 minutes to create chaos that ripples through the cosmos.
So if God is truly all-knowing, and he manages this vast aftermath, why is his strategy so dismissive of her immediate trauma?
That's the big question.
Why would he lead with a story about Tanzania when he knows perfectly well she only cares about her husband? Is it just bad bedside manner?
I don't think it's bad bedside manner. I think it's a deliberate exposure of scale.
Okay, unpack that for me.
The writer is contrasting two fundamentally incompatible realities. God's algorithmic tone isn't cruelty. It's a representation of objective reality.
Because God has to manage the objective reality of 8 billion people.
Exactly. While Sarah only has to manage the subjective reality of her own life.
Right.
By having God present the most extreme, far-reaching, positive consequence imaginable, saving a nation, the text forces a spotlight onto the inherent myopia of grief.
The myopia of grief, that's a great way to put it.
Grief makes our own pain the absolute center of the universe.
So God's algorithmic explanation is a rhetorical tool meant to expose that self-centeredness.
Precisely.
But it totally fails. She doesn't have an epiphany there.
No, she doesn't. Straight logic doesn't work against her defiance at all. She just gets madder.
Which is incredibly realistic, honestly.
Oh, totally. When someone is grieving, telling them it could be worse or it serves a greater purpose almost always induces rage.
Right, so realizing the Tanzania domino effect is a complete bust, God shifts his conversational tactic.
He abandons the grand, sweeping narrative.
And he pivots to something deeply unexpected. He starts using dark, hidden humor.
He starts telling jokes.
And the psychological mechanisms hidden inside these jokes are just fascinating.
The humor in this text is easily its most sophisticated element.
These are not just throwaway gags to lighten the mood.
Not at all. They are surgical tools. The author is using comedy to dissect Sarah's grief and expose the flawed logic underneath her arguments.
So let's break these down, because there are 4 specific comedic beats that God deploys, and they each hold a non-obvious secret.
Okay, let's look at the first one.
God tries scale with Tanzania, but when that fails, he tries shock. Sarah is angry, bargaining with the universe, and she asks, why Rob? Why not another car or another traveler?
A very common bargaining question.
Right. And God casually replies, okay, well, the other suitable candidate was a Down syndrome child, 6 years of age, who lived down the road. I suppose I could make a plan.
The shock value of that statement is just palpable.
Sarah immediately recoils. She says, are you mad?
But look at the conversational utility of what God is doing here.
He is using shock humor to hold up an emotional mirror.
Exactly. When human beings grieve, we frequently enter a bargaining phase. We say things like, take me instead, or why couldn't it have been someone bad?
We ask these questions in the abstract.
Yes. But by offering the most innocent, vulnerable replacement possible, a specific 6-year-old child with Down syndrome, God forces Sarah to confront the literal reality of her bargaining.
It reveals this incredibly uncomfortable secret about human nature. Our grief is inherently unavoidably selfish.
It really is.
We want our loved ones back so desperately that, in the abstract, we would be perfectly willing to trade a stranger's life for theirs.
But the moment God puts a specific, innocent face on that stranger, the joke forces Sarah to see the horror of her own requests.
It is a very dark joke, but it instantly and permanently shuts down her why him and not someone else argument.
It strips away the abstraction. You can't bargain with the universe without someone else paying the price.
Wow. Okay, so now the text moves to a second comedic beat, which functions entirely differently.
The Putin joke.
Yeah. In the middle of deconstructing a deeply emotional point, God suddenly interrupts himself.
He says, oops, hang on a second, just have to defuse a nuclear bomb Putin is playing with again.
There we go. Total alienation averted. Where were we? Get it. Isn't it funny?
Sarah definitely does not find it funny.
No. She's incredibly annoyed that he casually said, where were we, while they are debating the meaning of her dead husband's life.
But the hidden message here is remarkable.
Tell me about it.
God is making a profound point about perspective, but doing it through a geopolitical punchline.
Here he is, literally managing global annihilation.
Stepping in to stop a nuclear war.
And yet, he is still dedicating time to sit with Sarah and argue about her individual broken heart.
The joke hides the secret of divine omnipresence. It explores the paradox of a being who is infinitely vast, yet intimately present.
The humor is generated by the whiplash between macro-crisis and micro-counseling.
It's God essentially saying, I am holding the entire geopolitical structure of the world together by a thread, but I still have time for your anger.
When you unpack it, it is actually a deeply comforting concept.
But it is wrapped in a sarcastic one-liner so that it bypasses her defensive filters.
That is so smart. So God establishes his infinite scale with the Putin comment, but scale alone is terrifying.
It doesn't offer warmth.
Right. To bring that massive, scary cosmos back down to a manageable level for Sarah, the text does something brilliant with the concept of heaven.
This is the third joke.
Yes. Sarah's talking about the physical pain she feels because Rob is dead. And God points out that Rob isn't feeling any physical pain bodily.
In fact, God casually mentions that Rob is currently off playing golf with the Archangel Michael.
And then he adds this great little detail, saying that playing golf makes the angels practice their sword swing for you-know-who.
It's a great line. Implicitly mocking the devil while discussing an afternoon on the back nine.
What is brilliant about this conversational choice is how it completely normalizes the afterlife.
Right. Throughout human history, art and literature often paint the concept of heaven, or the afterlife, as this terrifyingly incomprehensible, ethereal place.
Biblically accurate angels covered in eyes, streets of gold, eternal choirs singing endlessly.
Which is impossible to relate to.
Exactly. If you are sitting in your living room and you miss your husband, and someone tells you he is currently a formless ball of light singing hymns in a celestial choir for all eternity.
That doesn't bring much comfort at all.
No, it feels alien. But telling her he is playing 18 holes with an archangel.
That replaces the terrifying unknown with mundane, relatable joy.
It brings Rob back down to earth, conversationally speaking, even while he's in heaven.
It makes the afterlife sound like a pleasant weekend retirement.
It really domesticates the divine, doesn't it?
It does. It allows Sarah to picture Rob doing something she understands, which soothes the panic of the unknown.
But this gentle moment is fleeting, because the dialogue quickly shifts to what is easily the most provocative joke of the entire transcript.
Oh boy, the Hitler trap.
Reading the part about Hitler's condo, I genuinely had to put the text down for a second.
It is extremely jarring.
It feels entirely inappropriate for a grief counseling scenario.
Yeah.
Why go to such an offensive extreme?
Well, let's look at the context. Sarah is arguing about love.
Right. She's trying to explain why she deserves love, pointing out how hard she worked for her husband.
She cooked for him. She cared for him. She put in the hours.
She views love as a transaction.
Exactly. And to break this, God claims that Hitler is one of his favorite sons.
He says Hitler owns a condo in heaven, and he challenges Sarah to go up there and give him a hug.
When I first read this, I thought, is God just being an edgelord?
Right. Is he just being provocative to make her mad?
It absolutely feels like pure provocation at first glance.
Right.
But look at the specific trap he's setting. God is using the absolute extreme example of human evil to completely dismantle Sarah's flawed definition of love.
Because Sarah believes in a transactional model of love.
I do things for you, therefore I deserve your love in return.
It's like a loyalty rewards program. She thinks she earned Rob's presence through good behavior.
Right. I bought the groceries, I did the laundry, therefore I am owed a husband.
But if God's love were transactional, if it functioned like a loyalty rewards program, humanity would be entirely doomed.
Nobody could earn it.
So by using Hitler, the ultimate symbol of undeserving evil, God forces Sarah into a philosophical corner.
She has to admit that divine love and true unconditional love itself isn't a commodity you earn through good behavior.
It is a force that exists entirely independently of our actions.
God actually says to her, "My son died for all mankind, but you, unrighteous, single-minded lot, seem to think you own the copyright and the moratorium of who gets it and who does not."
Wow. He uses the shock of the Hitler joke to make her realize she doesn't own love. She's just a vessel for it.
You can't hoard it, and you can't buy it with good deeds.
These jokes aren't just for laughs. They are cognitive disruptors.
They are dismantling the specific logical fallacies that are keeping Sarah trapped in her misery.
Which brings up a really vital point about the timing of this entire text.
Timing is everything here.
Because if you handed this transcript to someone the day after their partner died or even the week after, it would be devastatingly offensive.
Oh, they would probably punch you in the face.
Right. If someone tried to use this ER doctor sarcastic semantic logic on a fresh widow, it would be a disaster.
The shock, the anger, the visceral bargaining phases are just too hot in those early days.
That is a critical observation. This text is not designed for day one.
No, it explores the effectiveness of communication at a very specific, often neglected timeline of grief.
The structure of God's arguments here points heavily to what psychologists and grief counselors often refer to as the 3 to 6 month mark.
Let's talk about the 3-month theory, because the psychology here is fascinating.
So what happens at the 3-month mark?
Well, in the first couple of weeks, you are surrounded by people. The casseroles are coming in.
The neighbors are dropping by to check in. The funeral requires planning.
You are wrapped in this chaotic, adrenaline-fueled bubble of immediate crisis.
And your brain is heavily buffered by shock and denial.
Right. The physiological reality of day one grief is that the nervous system is completely overwhelmed.
But by month 3, the adrenaline is gone.
The casseroles have stopped. The neighbors have gone back to their own lives.
The initial numbing shock is worn off, and what replaces it is the grueling, mundane reality of what we might call the admin of death.
The admin of death, that is exactly what it is.
It's the probate courts. It's calling Verizon to cancel a phone plan and having to explain to a stranger that your husband is dead just to get out of a contract.
It's closing bank accounts. It is the crushing, quiet logistics of being left behind.
And in the text, Sarah specifically complains about this. She talks about the pain of Rob not being there to sort out the house and the banks and the cars, and for leaving me on my own to do everything by myself.
And God ruthlessly latches onto this.
He really does.
He points out that Sarah is missing the utility of Rob almost as much as the person of Rob.
This is where the text functions like a clinical intervention. God begins to literally deconstruct her words.
He plays her own phrasing back to her like a tape recorder.
He wants her to hear what she is actually saying versus what she thinks she is saying.
There's this one part of the deconstruction that initially confused me, actually.
Oh, which part?
It's the vowels versus vows argument.
Oh, yes. Let's get into that.
When I first read it, I thought it was a typo. Sarah says vowels are action words doing things. Getting the coffee, leaving love notes.
And God counters that vows are about being.
It sounds like a bizarre phonetic pun. How does this wordplay actually make sense in the context of her grief?
It reads strange at first, but it is actually a brilliant linguistic metaphor.
Tell me more.
In linguistics, vowels are what gives sound to a word. They're the noise, the active breath, the vocalization that gives life to consonants.
Okay, I'm following.
Sarah is associating love with the vowels. The noise, the daily actions, the visible routine, the fetching of the coffee, the morning kiss.
She is confusing the daily routine of love with love itself.
Yes. And God counters with vows. A vow, inherently, is a silent, underlying promise. It is a state of being.
It doesn't require constant daily noise to exist.
Ah, okay. So she's saying, he isn't bringing me coffee anymore, therefore the love is gone.
She's mourning the loss of the vowels, the daily noise.
And God is saying the vow, the underlying truth of that love, is still intact, even if the action has stopped.
That semantic breakdown is so harsh, but so necessary at that 3-month mark.
God is forcing her to separate her logistical panic, the banks, the cars, the coffee, from her emotional loss.
He asks her this brutal question, so you don't miss the person, you miss everything they did.
It induces severe cognitive dissonance.
But for a griever at the 3-month mark who is trapped in a loop of, I can't do this alone, they actually need their cognitive dissonance logically challenged.
They have enough emotional distance from the immediate trauma of day one to begin intellectualizing their pain.
I see God acting exactly like a cosmic cognitive behavioral therapist here.
Yes, CBT. CBT is all about identifying flawed, irrational thought patterns and logically challenging them to change your emotional response.
Sarah has convinced herself that because the actions of love have stopped, the love itself has vanished.
God completely interrupts that thought loop. He asks her if she's a narcissist for wanting Rob to stay on Earth, suffering, just so she can avoid feeling lonely and having to deal with the bank by herself.
It sounds cruel out of context.
It really does.
But when God points out that she values people partly because they fulfill a logistical or emotional need she has, that it's fundamentally a bit selfish, he is actively breaking the paralysis of her victimhood.
He is separating the daily routine from the eternal truth. He tells her that love isn't something you do, it's something you are.
He dismantles her.
Completely. But here's the thing about this kind of aggressive therapy or this kind of aggressive debate. After all this deconstruction, all this sparring, the dark humor about Putin and Hitler, the harsh CBT-style semantic breakdowns, the conversation has to land somewhere.
Right. You can't just dismantle a human being's worldview and leave them in pieces on the floor.
Exactly. If the text ended there, it would be a cynical, nihilistic piece of writing.
But the way the author lands this script is what elevates it from a purely intellectual exercise into something profoundly touching and human.
Let's look at the final exchange. After an hour of heavy, intense philosophical debate about the cosmos, the nature of desire, the illusion of time, the multiple-choice menu of death,
God abruptly changes the subject.
Sarah is overwhelmed. She's just had this massive light bulb moment about desire and love, and God just kind of cuts it off.
He tells her, see you on Tuesday, 3 a.m., don't be late.
The shift in tone here is entirely disarming.
Throughout the entire text, God has been the almighty, the ER doctor, the architect of the universe, the grand debater.
He has been wielding logic like a scalpel.
But with that one line, he drops the formal persona entirely. He becomes a companion.
Tuesday at 3 a.m. Let's talk about 3 a.m. In the world of grief, 3 a.m. is universally known as the witching hour.
It is the darkest, loneliest hour.
It's when the insomnia hits, the house is dead silent, the distractions of the daytime are gone, and the full weight of the loss sits right on your chest.
It is when you are most alone.
And God isn't offering a magical fix here. He isn't offering to rewind time and bring Rob back.
He isn't offering to fix her bank accounts.
He is simply offering his presence in the darkest hour of her week.
It's the ultimate validation of her pain, occurring only after he has cleared away all the selfish, logical fallacies surrounding it.
He had to tear down her flawed arguments about transactional love and cosmic fairness so that she could accept this simple, quiet comfort.
And then he gives her the final reassurance she actually craves from the very beginning.
He says, I saw him this morning, and he still loves you and your daughters, and nothing will ever change that.
That is the moment that breaks you when you read it.
After spending the whole text dismantling her idea of transactional love, telling her she doesn't own love, he gives her exactly what her human heart needed to hear.
Rob still loves her. It's so deeply tender.
And then the text ends on a note of levity. It ends on a dad joke.
Sarah, finally feeling a bit of peace, asks how God knows they will be okay.
And God replies, because I'm God. Still gets me every time.
That final joke acts as a crucial release valve for the entire narrative.
It shifts God from this terrifying, unfathomable creator, and even from the sharp-tongued ER doctor, back to the warm, slightly dorky dad figure that Sarah had vaguely referenced earlier.
It leaves the reader and Sarah feeling safe.
The human didn't win the argument. The cosmos didn't bend to her will. Rod is still gone. The bank still needs to be dealt with tomorrow.
But she got what she actually needed: comfort and a reminder that she isn't sitting in the dark alone at 3 in the morning.
It's a remarkable piece of conversational writing.
It proved that sometimes the most effective way to comfort someone isn't to coddle them in a padded room, but to engage them.
To challenge them. To treat their intellect with enough respect to actually argue with them.
So what does this all mean for us? This deep dive explored a masterclass in conversational dynamics.
We saw how blending sarcastic humor, relentless human pushback, and hidden philosophical jokes creates a uniquely effective tool for processing grief.
Especially when that initial shock has faded and that lonely, admin-heavy reality of the 3-month mark has set in.
It's a text that refuses to let the greeter wallow, forcing them instead to stand up, get angry, and spar with the universe.
It reminds us that there is always more to learn about how we communicate through our pain.
And that sometimes a shifting perspective, even a jarring, offensive one, is the only way to break a cycle of despair.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Think about the things you desperately pray for. Think about the ways you bargain with the universe when you are hurting. The secret wishes you whisper when things go wrong.
If the universe were to talk back to you right now, word for word, playing your exact demands back to you like a tape recorder, would you sound like a heartbroken, soul-seeking piece?
Or would you sound just a little bit like someone who is frustrated that the world stopped catering to your immediate needs?
Maybe the ultimate cosmic joke is that we all, in our grief, think we are the absolute center of the universe.
And maybe the ultimate cosmic grace is that, even knowing we aren't, sometimes at 3 a.m., the universe pulls up a chair and sits with us anyway.